Welcome back, everybody. This week we're doing things just a bit differently.
Oh.
Yeah, Chella Smith is out sick this week, so we're going to be looking at her weekly news roundup on Iraq's economy.
Interesting.
And honestly, I was super surprised by how much good news there is coming out of Iraq.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating thing.
Yeah.
Most people, when they think about Iraq, they think about conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instability. But these reports that Chella put together really paint kind of a different picture
Yeah.
of a nation that's really trying to push for economic reform and global integration.
All right, so let's jump right into it.
Okay.
First up, a piece on Iraq's vision for a stronger banking system.
Okay.
Chella highlighted Prime Minister Sudani's financial advisor, Makhar Mohammed Saleh, who really seems to be pushing for modernizing and integrating Iraqi banks. So what's the big picture here?
Well, I think the big picture is, establishing a really solid foundation for growth, right? Economic growth. When you have a robust banking system, it's really essential for attracting foreign investment,
Okay.
facilitating secure transactions, and providing easier access to credit for businesses and just individuals.
It's like a sign that they're serious
Exactly.
about creating a stable and transparent environment.
Exactly. 100%.
It's funny because a lot of people, myself included, like when you think about Iraq, you don't think a stable banking system.
Right, of course.
So it seems like they're really trying to change that perception.
Absolutely. And they're doing more than just talking about it.
Right.
They're taking concrete steps. The Central Bank of Iraq, the CBI, has been working with international institutions like the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve to improve their financial infrastructure
Okay.
and risk management practices.
So there's a report here that says that Iraq's U.S. dollar distribution system is now recognized as one of the most controlled globally.
Wow.
What does that even mean?
That's a big deal.
And why is it a big deal?
It's a big deal because it essentially means that Iraq has shown a high level of control and transparency
Okay.
in how it manages U.S. dollar reserves, which are very important for international trade and investment.
Okay.
So this is, basically a way for them to build trust and confidence in Iraq's financial system.
So it's like they're saying, hey, look, we're playing by the rules. We're serious about this. You can trust us with your money.
100%. That's exactly right. It's a really clear signal to the international community that Iraq is a trustworthy partner.
Okay, now Chella also included a report on the U.S. pushing Iraq to resume oil exports from the Kurdistan region through Turkey.
Okay.
That sounds like a pretty big geopolitical move. So what are the implications there?
Well, I think this move has a few layers, right?
Okay.
On the one hand, restarting these exports, it could help offset the decline in Iranian oil exports due to U.S. sanctions.
Okay.
And this would be beneficial for both Iraq and just the global oil market. It would bring in a lot of much-needed revenue for Iraq and could potentially stabilize global oil prices.
That makes sense. But Chella also mentioned some potential technical and political challenges?
Right. Yeah. So there are concerns about the capacity of the existing pipeline through Turkey.
Okay.
And, whether it can actually handle the increased flow of oil.
Right.
And then there's this whole other issue of OPEC plus compliance.
Right.
Iraq is a part of this agreement, and this agreement basically tries to stabilize global oil prices by regulating production levels.
Yeah.
So restarting exports from Kurdistan could disrupt that balance and create some issues within OPEC plus.
So it's not just as easy as, flip a switch, turn the oil back on.
Exactly.
There's a lot of political and economic factors to think about.
Yeah, 100%. And then you also have to factor in what kind of impact this would have on Iraq's relationship with Iran.
Right.
Reducing their reliance on Iranian oil could shift, the power dynamic in the region.
Yeah.
And even create some new geopolitical alliances. So it's a really complex situation with a lot of different potential ramifications.
Yeah, it sounds like restarting these oil exports is a pretty risky gamble with potential benefits and risks for everybody involved.
Exactly. Yep. It'll be very interesting to see how it all plays out over the coming months.
Chella also included a piece about a meeting between the Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani and the U.S. Senator Elisa Slotkin.
Okay.
What was the focus of their discussion?
It seems like they were mostly trying to strengthen the long-term cooperation between the U.S. and Iraq,
Okay.
particularly in areas like security and economic development.
How does that fit into the bigger picture?
Well, I mean, obviously a stable and secure environment is super important
Yeah.
when you're trying to attract foreign investment
Right.
and foster economic growth.
Right?
So I think this meeting shows that both countries recognize how important this partnership is,
Yeah.
and they're committed to working together to create a more prosperous future for Iraq.
So it's not just about the U.S. throwing money at the problem.
No, not at
It's
all.
about both sides working together
Yeah,
to, create something that's beneficial for everybody.
exactly. And it sends a really strong message that Iraq has support from a major global power as it starts this pretty ambitious economic transformation.
Okay, let's move on to something a little more concrete.
Sure.
Chella's report details the recent launch of national bonds
Okay.
worth a whopping $1.5 billion.
Wow.
Can you explain what this is all about and why it matters?
So they're basically trying to raise capital for national development projects
Okay.
by issuing these bonds with attractive interest rates
Okay.
to both individuals and institutions.
So it's a way for them to fund all these improvements without relying on foreign aid or loans.
Exactly.
It's like taking control of their own financial destiny.
Exactly, 100%. And by offering these bonds to both domestic and international investors, they're really strengthening their own financial markets
Right.
and create these opportunities for citizens to, kind of participate in the country's growth.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, exactly. It's a win-win.
It definitely sounds like they're thinking very strategically about their long-term financial health. But is there any risk? I mean, could they be taking on too much debt?
I mean, that's definitely a valid concern,
Hmm.
but, the fact that they've structured these bonds with such good interest rates, it seems like they're confident that they can manage this debt responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
It's about striking a balance, right?
Okay.
Between raising enough capital for development
Yeah.
and maintaining fiscal stability.
Sounds like a delicate balancing act.
It is, yeah.
But I am curious, how are they planning on using this money to actually improve the lives of everyday Iraqis?
Well, that's a fantastic question, and one that we're going to explore further as we get deeper into these reports that Chella put together.
Okay, awesome. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, so we just talked about how Iraq is trying to make their banking system stronger, raise money through bonds, and work with the U.S.
Hmm.
It seems like, they really want to show the world that they're stable and transparent.
Exactly. They're showing everyone that they're serious about managing their finances responsibly.
Right.
And they're following international standards, which is super important if they want to attract foreign investment
Okay.
and be a part of the global economy.
So Chella included this other report on the Central Bank of Iraq.
The CBI.
Yeah, the CBI. And this time it's about their investments in technology.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So they're buying all these high-tech currency sorting machines
Okay.
for their branches in Basra and Mosul. And I got to admit, when I first saw that, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why is that such a big deal?
Right.
So I guess, why are currency sorting machines so important?
Well, it might seem kind of like a small thing, but it actually shows you how committed they are to, modernizing and becoming more efficient.
Okay.
These machines can process a lot of money really fast,
Mhm.
and they do it accurately too, which means there's less risk of counterfeiting.
Right.
It also helps them manage their cash flow better and just makes everything more secure.
So it's all about making sure their money is safe
Yeah,
and that people can trust the financial system.
exactly. And it also shows the world that Iraq is using modern technology,
Hmm.
which can make them more attractive to foreign investors.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, Chella's news roundup also mentioned some good things happening in Iraq's stock market.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so what can you tell us about that?
Well, it looks like more and more investors are getting interested.
Okay,
We saw this big transaction recently involving Al Mansour Bank shares,
right.
which shows that the market is becoming more dynamic and, easier to trade in. Plus, the International Development Bank is about to launch Iraq's very first digital bank branch.
Wow, that's huge.
It is. This is a big step toward modernizing Iraq's financial infrastructure and making banking services more accessible for everyone.
Right,
Digital banking is just so convenient and efficient,
yeah.
and it's more transparent, which can bring in a whole new generation of investors who are really tech savvy.
So they're not just focusing on the big international players.
Nope.
They're also trying to make it easier for everyday Iraqis to be a part of the financial system.
Exactly. They want to create a system that benefits everyone.
I like that. So Chella also included a report on Iraq's energy sector,
Okay.
highlighting their commitment to reform and meet international standards. So what are some of the big things they've done in this area?
They've been really focused on expanding their refined capacity,
Okay.
so they don't have to rely on imports as much.
Mm-hmm.
This means they can produce more diesel and kerosene domestically.
Mm-hmm.
They're also importing less gasoline.
Okay, so they want to be more energy independent.
Exactly. And that's not all. They're also investing in gas exploration and development
Okay,
because they know the global demand for natural gas is only going to keep growing.
right. That makes sense. Speaking of gas, Chella mentioned Iraq is working with Indonesia's Pertamina to develop Exploration Block 3.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the thinking behind that?
Well, they want to increase their hydrocarbon reserves
Okay,
and attract more foreign investment.
okay.
By working with these big international companies, they can get access to new technology and expertise.
So it's kind of a win-win, right?
It is. Iraq gets the resources and the know-how, and Pertamina gets a piece of a potentially very profitable project.
Makes sense. So these partnerships, they not only help Iraq produce more oil and gas,
Right.
but they also bring in new knowledge and technology.
Exactly, which is great for the Iraqi workforce and the economy in the long run.
Sounds like they're playing the long game here.
They are. They're building a sustainable energy sector that can really support their economic growth for years to come.
And it's not just about producing as much oil and gas as possible, right?
No, they're also trying to be more environmentally friendly.
Okay,
They're exploring renewable energy and promoting energy efficiency.
that's great. Now, Chella's last report was about something a little different, food security.
Okay.
She mentioned Iraq's participation in Food 2025,
Ah, yes.
the world's biggest food business event. So how does this fit into Iraq's, big economic transformation plan?
Well, it might seem a bit out of place, but it's actually a smart move to diversify their economy.
Okay,
Iraq has been an agricultural powerhouse for a long time, especially with dates and grains.
right.
So by participating in Food 2025, they can show off their products, look for new expand opportunities, and attract investment in their food industry.
So they're using their agricultural background to become a bigger player in the global food market.
Exactly. And with all the concerns about global food security these days, Iraq is in a great position to step up and become a key supplier in regional and international markets.
It's really cool to see how all these different initiatives are actually connected.
I know.
They're all working towards the same goal of transforming Iraq's economy.
You got it. It's a really comprehensive approach that involves strengthening financial institutions, modernizing infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
attracting foreign investment, and diversifying the economy.
It's definitely ambitious,
It is.
but it seems like they're making good progress.
They are, and like with any big project, there are going to be some bumps along the way.
Okay, so let's talk about those bumps.
Sure.
What are some of the challenges Iraq might face?
Mm-hmm. Well, security is still a big worry,
Yeah.
even though they're working hard to stabilize the country.
Mm-hmm.
The threat of terrorism and just internal conflicts, it makes things unpredictable,
Yeah,
and that makes investors nervous.
makes sense. It's hard to build a strong economy when businesses are afraid of violence.
Exactly. And then there's, the issue of political ups and downs.
Right.
Iraq's political scene is really complicated.
Yeah.
With all these different groups and changing alliances,
Right.
this can lead to uncertainty about policy,
Right.
which makes it hard to implement long-term reforms.
So basically, if they want these economic plans to work,
Mm-hmm.
they need to have a stable political environment.
Absolutely. That will help attract investors and ensure that these initiatives actually continue.
And we can't forget about corruption.
Right.
That's a problem everywhere.
It is. Tackling corruption and promoting good governance are essential.
Yeah.
If you want to build trust in the system.
It's got to be transparent and accountable, not just for bringing in foreign investment,
Right.
but also for making sure the benefits of economic growth reach everyone.
Exactly. It's not just about numbers. It's about making life better for all Iraqis.
Okay, so we've talked about challenges inside Iraq,
Mm-hmm.
but what about stuff happening outside the country?
Oh, of course. The global economy is always changing.
Right.
Things like oil prices going up and down, global recessions, or, tensions between countries, those can all have a big impact on Iraq.
So they need to be ready for anything.
Yeah, being able to adapt is crucial in today's world.
It seems like there's a lot of positive energy in Iraq right now.
I agree.
They have so much potential,
Mm-hmm.
and they seem to be doing the right things to achieve it.
Yeah, they have a young and growing population, tons of natural resources, and they're in a perfect spot connecting them to important markets in the Middle East and beyond.
Okay.
If they can handle these challenges and use their strengths, they could become a major economic power in the region.
Well, this has been a really eye-opening look at Iraq's economy.
It's been a pleasure.
It's definitely changed how I think about the country.
I'm glad to hear that. It just goes to show that progress can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
Even in places you might not expect, we should always be looking for the positive changes that are happening in the world.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for walking us through all this while Chella's out.
You're welcome.
We hope she feels better soon.
Mm-hmm.
And we look forward to having her back next week. Until then, thanks for listening.
Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith, Entertainment News.